What's up, Level Up Medical Coding fam? It's your girl Kat, and I am here with another deep dive video to help you boss up in your medical coding journey. So, somebody actually dropped a gem in the comments that asked me, do I have any advice on how to learn a different specialty? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. So, today we are going to break down some tips and tricks on how you can confidently learn to code new specialties, anywhere from psych to surgery. And not just learn, but actually to boss up and level up and get paid to do it, like a deep dive. But first, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and then click that bell icon because you already know we don't gatekeep growth over here. We share all the information that we can. So if you want to keep up with the videos, go ahead and do those things because YouTube likes that. They like the engagement and it'll push me in the algorithm. And actually, it'll show me that I am actually giving you guys value and answering all the questions that you come here to get information about. And it's encouraging. It's encouraging when I see the engagement to keep on making videos and to take time out of my day to just share what I know about this medical coding world. All right, first, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got started coding some different specialties. So, with mental health, it was a little on the job training, but I didn't take a class or anything. I just kind of got trained and used Google. For urology, I did take a course through AAPC, and yeah, that wasn't as intensive as I would like it to be, but it gave me a very good foundation. It gave me a good place to start. It gave me some insight on what actually urology is all about. It exposed me to medical terms. It exposed me to the anatomy of what the urologists, work on. It exposed me to the different types of procedures and surgeries and testing that they do in urology. So the course gave me a good foundation as to what to expect from a urology coding perspective. Dermatology, I did take a course as well, and that kind of like reinforced different coding rules and the guidelines for like the integumentary system because some of those guidelines, if you don't use them a lot, you kind of lose them. And it just was a good reminder as to what to expect when I was coding dermatology. And gave me a good overview of evaluation and management again. And it exposed me to the procedures and the different types of surgeries. It also reminded me that dermatology has a lot of cosmetic procedures. And even though we code a lot of them, just so they can be reported or whatever the case may be, a lot of them don't get paid by insurance because they are cosmetic in nature. For risk adjustment, initially, I just kind of learned by, looking at billing guidelines, listening to my facilities billing policies, kind of trial and error, just sending out a claim, like getting the feedback from the insurance companies. And then after the CRC became available, then study guide and then took the exam for the CRC. And so all of the specialties that I code in, I actually have a certification in. And so I had some sort of training with the exception of mental health. So I have some sort of training by like, classroom work or at least study guide. But I ain't gonna lie, urology is the toughest thing that I've coded so far because it details a lot of surgery. I never really wanted to be a surgical coder, but I knew I needed an increase in my pay and I wanted to like just level up my skill. So I knew I had to just go ahead and act on it, take the plunge, learn surgeries, to not be scared, but be smart about it. I needed to increase my income and eventually I wanted to be able to offer different types of services in my billing company. So I needed the exposure and I needed the support of uh, my job in order to get feedback to make sure that what I was doing was following the correct guidelines and to just get any type of feedback and training that, my job offered me. So I thought it was a smart move for me to just go ahead and take the plunge and learn how to code surgeries and also get some feedback and some information about how to correctly build those, so that I can continue to level up. Okay, let me give you my biggest tip in order to learn how to code different specialties or a new specialty. I call it your coder's toolbox. That means like gather up multiple resources and make cheat sheets for yourself. I definitely refer to my study guides a lot through AAPC. Of course, your books, CPT, ICD-10, your HCPC books, any association blogs or forums that you may have. Definitely take snippets from CMS and your Macs. Your encoder, if you have access to those, definitely helps. And it helps for sequencing and modifiers and so much more. And most of all, Google. You definitely should have Google up while you are coding because it will help you get more information. It will help you if you are unsure of a certain disease process. It'll help you with medical terms. It'll even help point you in a general direction of a right code that you may be thinking about using. It also kind of helps break down the differences between two or three codes that you are trying to decide between. It helps give you good websites that you may not be aware of, that you can look to research for more information. It just Google is just one of those things that you just really, really need to have. And even now, without giving HPI or violating HIPAA, you can also put some general information into, AI like a chat GPT or Gemini, and it'll help you out, to break down some of the CPT codes or HCPC codes. It'll help, to break down, like give you in-depth information on, what key terms to look for when you're looking in a surgical note, or if you're looking up a procedure, or just anything that you're having trouble on understanding that Google just doesn't go most in depth on. So coders that have a specialty certification tend to be considered for better roles in their job. It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll get them, but they do have a higher chance of securing a role if you have more than one specialties. And it also is a help in salary negotiation. It doesn't guarantee that you will get paid more, but it is definitely a help to see that you are committed into like furthering your career and learning more and being a more in-depth coder. And it's better to be a specialty coder than to be a generalist. Now I know you probably like, Cat, that's all fine and dandy, but you can learn as much as you want to learn, gather all the resources that you can, but sometimes it's still confusing. And I agree. I definitely get that. Trying anything new for the first time is confusing. And medical coding, learning a new specialty is no exception. I know it is confusing, it's intimidating. You question all your life choices, even why did I get into coding? Why did I decide to code a specialty? But guess what? You get over it. Let me tell you how I got over it. I took it slow. I pushed through. I Googled every single word, and I even went over and studied stuff after hours, after my work hours. Let's be real. Like in medical coding, we all know learning never ends. It doesn't stop after 5 p.m. If you want to be able to flex on your next interview or brag about yourself to your new client, the work has to continue after work. So I encourage you, if you are thinking about getting into a new specialty, you want to code, you have a desire to code a specialty that you currently do not code, or you just have a genuine interest in, I challenge you to, after that 9 to 5, an hour or two a day, to pick up anything that will help you to learn that specialty. So, meaning your code books, get you an anatomy book, learn the anatomy of that body system, go on the websites and try to figure out, like some coding dilemmas. There are lots of articles, and let me use urology for example. The Urological Association, the American Urological Association, has on their website tons of articles about conflicting or, confusing CPT assignments, and you can read those articles to learn what is giving pain points to providers and to coders when they are coding that specialty, and that way you will be on top of it. So when you do get into that specialty, you see, oh, I read about this before, I know there's an article about this, you know exactly where to find it. And even if it's not that particular situation, you at least know how to maneuver that website to kind of find information that you may have questions on that may be specific to your clinic. So you're going to have to learn, you're going to have to take that mindset of always be learning and medical coding and take that to, invest in your new specialty. So that's pretty much in a nutshell how you learn to code a new specialty. The first thing that I would do is see if AAPC or your membership association has a course on that. If you want to take that course, you should definitely take that course. But if you decide that you don't want to take the course, at least buy the study guide. Because, like I said, I still refer to my study guide sometimes when I get stuck on something or if I forgot. That's just the way I learn. I like to just repeat things over and over, and I have to read something multiple times before it finally sticks in my head. And if you don't have a course or a study guide, or you just decide that doesn't work for you, then definitely, just do the self teaching role, like find websites, find, books that will help teach you and reinforce that particular specialty, and always refer to your medical coding books because you need to know the guidelines for that specialty. You need to know some of the most common codes that you will be using in that specialty. You need to be able to speak intelligently when you decide that you want to code that certain specialty. If you're going to your management saying that, hey, I just kind of want to get training on that, have a little bit of background knowledge so you won't go into that specialty just completely like green to it. You at least know what they're talking about when they train you. It's better for you to have some sort of understanding of that specialty, so when you hear some of the key terms, you won't have you won't confuse yourself even more. It'll still be a little bit confusing, but at least you have a starting point and you can know like how to maneuver through a little bit more confidently. In addition to the specialty association, the blogs and journals and reports that they um, put out, I also like to do webinars. AMA has good recaps. They do coding updates every time the new code sets come out. So that's a good resource. Also, AAPC has a way that you can subscribe and get a subscription to their webinars. You can purchase one single webinar or like a yearly subscription. That's actually a really excellent way to stay up to date with coding changes, but also to help give you more insight on coding a new specialty. Also, contact your local chapter and ask them if they can schedule more speakers to speak on a specialty that you're interested in. But most of all, the best resource that you can have is a more seasoned coder. If you have a coder and you know a coder and you network with a coder that has coded a specialty that you're interested in, it's nothing like having a seasoned coder that actually is doing the work, that actually is currently coding something that you're interested in, to share with you their cheat sheets, to share with you some of the ways that they find their information, share with you some examples on what they see when they're coding something in their particular clinic, to break things down for you, to show you where to maneuver in the EHR so that they can come to a conclusion for their codes that they select. There's nothing like having a live person resource to help you to understand that specialty that you're interested in. That's like having like your own personal ultimate cheat sheet right there. So if you can find you a coder that is doing the thing that you want to do, befriend them, network with them, pick their brain, whatever you have to do to get into their good graces, and just say, hey, can you just kind of give me some insight on how to code whatever it is, dermatology, urology, cardiology, whatever it is that you desire to code. And more than likely, they will be ready to share their knowledge with you. One thing that I do want to say, when you are looking for different websites to learn from, make sure those websites are legal websites that are approved and that have credible resources, behind them. A lot of times I like to look for the .gov sign, or make sure they are official association websites or trusted websites that it's just known in the industry that we can rely on. So, vet your websites before you get that information, and just know that we don't know everything. Sometimes you can publish something and it's outdated by the time you learn it. So do your due diligence when you're researching. I know one of your biggest worries is probably productivity. Management tends to understand that you are still new to a specialty and you're still learning, so they usually take it easy on you. But what I would suggest to you is to not give up on your old specialty, because usually you can code that specialty fast. And if you can code one specialty fast and your new specialty slow, that kind of balances out your productivity. So when I learn something new, I tend to always keep my mental health specialty because I can code that really fast. And while I'm learning something new, I'm maybe a little bit slower with that specialty. So I tend to take my time with that. And at the end of the day or the end of the month, it all averages out and my productivity stays on point. But if you find that you're having trouble meeting productivity, talk to your management and be honest with them. Let them know of the struggles that you're having. And, maybe they will be able to offer you more support or try to come up with solutions with you on how to increase your productivity. Let's be honest, they already know that you're not slow. They know that you're learning, and that's a big difference. So they would definitely take that into consideration. So just, make sure you go in with the mindset that I know I'm going to get this and I'm going to eventually get faster, but keep the line of communication open with your supervisor. Some tips that I want to talk to you about mindset is embrace the discomfort. It's not going to feel good at first, but remind yourself you're leveling up your career, you're leveling up your coding, you're stretching yourself. You know that you can do this. I had to tell myself a many a day that I want to grow, right? I want to make six figures, right? Then maybe I got to pick up that scalpel, so to speak, and get to coding these surgeries, because that's the only way that I'm going to be able to increase my salary, to demand a higher pay, and to show management that I am serious about my career as far as going to the next level. I did always have a desire to become an educator, and how am I going to educate other coders if I haven't experienced some more complex situations that happens in the clinic? So I needed to be exposed to surgeries. I needed to be exposed to office visits. I needed to be exposed to a lot of different things. So in order for me to do that, I have to do things that is uncomfortable to me in, coding, but I also had a desire to do it. So even though it was a little bit uncomfortable, I did have a desire and a passion to learn and put all that together, and I leveled up. So I know you can too. This was an excellent question. So thank you, by the way, for the question. Let me give you a quick tip on how to stay organized. I like using OneNote. I document every trend that I find in OneNote, stuff that's unfamiliar to me, any denials that I have received, anything, any repetitive, CPT codes that I use. Anything of significance, I use OneNote, because OneNote follows me and I can kind of mind map it or organize it in a way that makes sense to me. So definitely, if you have not utilized OneNote, use OneNote. I know a lot of coders that swear by OneNote too. When I tell them that I use it, they be like, girl, me too. So OneNote is really, really good. And I don't know about you, but one of the best ways that I learn is by teaching it to other people, teaching what I know to others. Now, you may not be as comfortable with this concept, and it may be a little bit, far off, far fetched for you, but just consider it. Even if you don't teach it to someone else, act like you're teaching it to someone else, but you're actually teaching it to yourself. So maybe like create a presentation or like some worksheets that, kind of help you reinforce the information. Shout out to all you coders and billers that follow me and say that y'all like the way that I teach and break down stuff. You guys help give me the confidence to continue to just share my knowledge and actually help me to be a better coder. And I'm going to give you a final piece of advice. You have to have a passion for whatever it is that you decide to code for. So start with where your heart is. Start with what you're passionate of learning about and what you're interested in learning. If you have an opportunity, say yes to the opportunity, but make sure it aligns with what you are desiring to do. Don't just chase the bag to a particular specialty, but also make sure you know your worth. If I can talk to a baby coder me, I say, girl, you need to study more outside of normal work hours. Don't wait until you need it. Put it in your arsenal because you probably are going to need it later. You never know what opportunities will come for you. If you don't have to get ready, if you stay ready, you will definitely get to the bag like you want to. Okay. I'm so serious about that. Make sure that you understand that it's always room to grow in this field. And one last thing, I do have an ebook that gets more in depth about just breaking into the medical coding field and how you can just kind of level up your career. It gives you so much information. It's called Breaking into Medical Coding and Billing. It gives you a step by step guide on how to start strong, how to continue to be strong, how to study smart, and how to get paid like a pro. So the link is going to be in the description if you are interested in that. But I think it is the perfect companion to this video because it gives you a more deep dive insight on medical coding and how to structure your career path so that you can ultimately reach your end goal in this medical coding field. Whether you are just starting out as a new medical coder and you just thinking big and wanting to know what all opportunities you can possibly have, or you are already a medical coder and you're just trying to figure out how you can strategically make more money or just to become like maybe a senior coder or a coder 3 or get a new position or whatever the case may be. This ebook will help give you more insight on how to strategically do that, how that you can take your career from being, where you are now to getting to your ultimate goal, your ultimate career path. I share so many websites in this ebook that will help you to map out your career path as well as level up, your coding. Just like the question is how do you learn how to code new specialties? I give some websites that I personally use for the type of coding that I do. So especially if you're a coder that's interested in any of the specialties that I code, like dermatology, urology, or mental health, I include some of those websites in this ebook. I also include Facebook groups that has helped me. I also include some blogs and different websites and resources that have helped me. So go ahead, grab that ebook. It's called Breaking into Medical Coding and Billing. You won't be disappointed. And give me some feedback on that ebook and let me know, is it helpful to you? The link will be in the description. All right, so it's that time. I want to hear from you. What specialty are you most interested in coding? Drop it in the comments because we learn best from each other. And you never know. You may connect with a coder that already codes that specialty that you can connect with. And like I asked you in the top of the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a coding bestie who's ready to take their career to the next level. So until next time, I want you to keep leveling up, and I will see you in the next video.